Good morning everyone and welcome back to my Vlogmas 2024. So today is Thursday the 5th of December. We're already nearly a week in, which is mad to me, and I thought today we would sit down and we would discuss a few budgeting tips for Christmas. So as we all know, Christmas is a really expensive time of the year, and I wanted to share with you a few little tips and tricks that I use each year to try and save a bit of money. And I've broken them down into 5 different categories, which I've got on my little trusty list here, which I shall be referring to throughout the video. So if you see me looking down, I'm just checking that I'm hitting all the points that I want to hit on the video. So the categories that I have separated everything into are: number 1, gifting, probably the most expensive part of Christmas as far as this household is concerned, but definitely it's up there for most households, I would imagine. Decor, so number 2, decor. Number 3, food and drink, probably our second biggest expense. Number 4, entertainment, and number 5, travel. So we've got 5 categories that I'm going to sit and go over, and we're going to try and save you guys a little bit of money. Hopefully it's not too late, but if it is, maybe it'll be useful for next year while you've got a whole year to get a run up at it. So let's get going with the category gifting. So one of the things that I wanted to do this year, but we actually ended up doing something a little bit different, but I think is a great idea, and I know a lot of people are doing recently, is a Secret Santa within extended family. So I've got, excuse me, quite a small extended family that I have contact with. I have my sister and her family, I have my father, and I have my grandmother. The rest of the family we just don't see, we don't have relationships with. So really our extended family is quite small, and this would work perfectly. But I think certainly it can be expanded up to a big family, and I think that potentially could make it more fun. But the general idea is that you all put your names into a bowl, and then you each pick a name, and that person buys the gift for the person on the little slip of paper. And it means that you are only buying one present each for Christmas, one present. And then at Christmas time you can all get together and you can all open your presents together as a family, or as much as possible together as a family. Everyone has something to open, but no one has really financially damaged themselves trying to afford gifts for everybody. You can also set budgets for this. You could go from a very small budget. You could try and do almost like a novelty gift, Secret Santa, maybe a £5 each, make it a real challenge, anywhere up to, you know, a comfortable budget. Set your budget where everyone is comfortable, where everyone is happy, and then everyone has only one gift to buy, but everyone has something to open, and you can all come together and spend time as a family opening them gifts. Often that is a much better way of doing it than just rocking up, you know, a succession of people's houses with armfuls of gifts for all the people in the household and just breaking yourself financially to do so. So tip 1, Secret Santas within families. It doesn't even need to be a secret, but just like that idea of one person buying for one person and everyone getting one thing. Okay, so the next idea for gifting is to actually opt out of gifting altogether. I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of families only buy for children. And I think this is a really good idea if you are in a family and friends kind of bubble where everyone is feeling the pinch right now. I think this is becoming more common. It's something that I certainly am doing this year. I'm not doing the Secret Santa this year. I am doing a complete opt-out. I have told everybody I'm not getting gifts this year. I can't afford to. And everyone is happy with that. It's a mutual decision. We are not getting gifts for each other. We are saving our money, and we are, you know, concentrating on our own families this Christmas, and we will see each other and spend time with each other instead of giving a gift. 9 times out of 10 gifts, you know, you get so much at Christmas, and a lot of the time it is lovely, lovely, thoughtful things, but things that you maybe don't have space for, things that maybe don't fit properly, if they're clothing, things that maybe you don't like, if they're food. And oftentimes gifting can be more of a burden to the receiver than the gifter would wish it to be, because then you feel like you have to hold on to these things. And you know, you end up with a cluttered home, a cluttered mind. It's all very stressful. So opting out of gifts altogether, as long as it's mutually done, can really, really work. And certainly this is what we are doing this year. I'm buying only for my children. I believe my family are doing the same. So opting out completely. And then the next idea, I've got 4 on here, so number 3 is swapping gifts for a day out instead. So this is kind of the angle that I'm going for. We've opted out of physical gifts and we are going to try and spend time together. We are going to go hopefully up and see my sister at some point before Christmas. We're just going to spend the day up there. We're going to catch up. We're going to drink tea, and it's just going to be lovely. That is my gift. You know, for me, that is a gift, to be able to go and spend the day with my sister, completely unstressed about gifting and stuff like that. It's huge for me, even if we don't do anything. You know, I'm more than happy to just sit there and drink tea and coffee. Well, not coffee, but drink tea, you know, or maybe a mooch around the garden centre, or sometimes we take her dog out for a walk, and it's just so nice. So that, I'm looking forward to that more than I would be anything under the tree. So we can swap gifts for events or just spending time with each other. A lot of people just want a connection these days. People have all the stuff that they want. They just want a connection. So spending time rather than spending money. And the last idea is homemade gifts. Now, there is a little bit, it's two sides. Homemade gifts are kind of two-sided. There are people who love to make homemade gifts. There are people who love to receive homemade gifts. And there are people who do not love to receive homemade gifts. I've made this mistake a few times. I learned to crochet, and I made people these lovely, what I thought was lovely, kind of plaited cowls, that is 3-layered plaited cowls. They took me a really, really, really long time to do, and I thought they were gorgeous. And I gave them out as Christmas presents, and a lot of people loved them. They thought it was really nice to have a homemade gift. They still use them. And a few people were clearly insulted to receive a homemade gift. So do be careful who you are giving homemade gifts to. Some people just want you to go out and spend a whole bunch of money on designer perfumes and sparkly earrings and stuff like that, and they're never going to appreciate a homemade gift. But if you're in the kind of family and friend bubble that would really enjoy that kind of thing, maybe you could make it a challenge between you. There's no bought gifts, they're all homemade. Then there's so many ideas of things that you can do for Christmas gifts that are homemade. You can bake treats, you can make Christmas decorations, ornaments each year, and they can gradually build up like a little collection of homemade ornaments. You could do like little tea and coffee hampers. That there's so many things that you can do homemade gift wise, and as long as you are giving them things to someone who will appreciate them, then they can be a really, really good way of making saving money. So that's it for the gifting section. We're going to move on to decor. Decor, I think, is something that we are encouraged these days to spend an exuberant amount of money on. And certainly this year I have fallen into that trap. I have spent a lot of money on Christmas decorating this year. And as I look around, I'm looking at everything. I love things, but I can also see things that I have wasted money on, things that I'm not really in love with, and things that I probably could have made or done better myself. So for decor, it's a really, really easy category to save money on, particularly if you are crafty and you can make things at home. So going into decor, you can go out into the beautiful wide world and you can forage greens to make table centerpieces, to make wreaths, to make lovely bouquets of like foliage. All you need is foliage, you don't necessarily need flowers. This time of year, twisted twigs that are spray painted gold look beautiful if you put lights through them. There are lots of things that you can forage from the outside world that will make your home look and feel very festive and cost you absolutely nothing. You do need to be careful when you're going out foraging. There are rules. You cannot take, of course, from people's gardens. If there are things overgrowing, I would knock on the door and ask politely if you can take a cutting. Certainly around here there's a lot of ivy growing over people's fences, and most of the people around here don't mind. I've knocked on their doors before and I will do again when I'm making my wreath tomorrow, and just ask if they would mind if I took a couple of clippings of ivy and things like that. But also communal areas. Certainly around here we have a lot of green spaces that have kind of evergreen shrubs and things planted in. The council, they have usually come round by now and cut things back. They haven't this year. Clearly budgeting is an issue. So to take a couple of little clippings for a wreath, as long as it's not harming the plant or the structure of the plant or health of the plant, then you're all right to take a little clipping of holly and things like that. Just please make sure that it is not something that's privately owned before you go foraging. Do not go onto private land to forage. Keep it smart and you'll be all right, but there's plenty of things out there that you can forage. Also at the moment there are so many pine cones just sitting on the floor, and you go into garden centres and they're like £10 a bag because they've put a bit of cinnamon spray on them. No, you can get some cinnamon spray very, very cheaply. You can even just dust them with a little bit of cinnamon, and you can just pick them up off the ground. So you can really make quite a lot of Christmas decorations with foraged greens, with pine cones and things like that, berries and things that you found. Do be careful if you've got pets. Very careful if you've got pets that they can't get to them. So yeah, you can make a lot with that. You could also upcycle old baubles. So let me just scooch one off the tree so I can show you. So I've got these little gold baubles here. Obviously I'm currently using them on the tree, but let's say you have a whole box of blue baubles because you had the gorgeous navy and gold Christmas decorations, which I'm very tempted to do next year because I love the navy and gold. But let's say that you are moving to traditional colours this year. You could quite easily upcycle these. You know, you can spray paint these relatively cheaply with some spray paint to make them another colour. You can paint them with the kids. You can add coloured glitter to them. You could decoupage them, so you could get like napkins, excuse me, napkins or decoupage paper, and you can stick those to these and you can transform them into completely new baubles without having to go out into the big wide world and spend a bunch of money on baubles and then still have a load of baubles that you're not using just taking up space somewhere. So upcycling old things is a really, really good way of making Christmas decorations. But also I find things like broken necklaces, broken earrings, you can fashion kind of like a wire hook onto those and pop them on the tree and they look perfectly fine on the tree. These lovely glittery, glitzy ornaments. You can really let your creativity out and make a lot of things yourself just by upcycling old decorations that you've already got. The next thing, this kind of ties into it. So you can go around the charity shops this time of year, the thrift stores, whatever you call them where you're from. We call them charity shops here in the UK. You can go to the charity shops this time of year and most of them are loaded with donated Christmas decorations. So you can either go in there and you can pick up things that will fit with your theme now very, very cheaply, or you can buy things that are the right shape and size and then you can upcycle those. You can save a fortune doing this, an absolute fortune doing this. You could also choose just to simplify. Last year I actually only really had out my big Christmas tree and a couple of the Christmas houses that I've got in front of me here on the desk, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and stockings. Everything else I just left in the loft. I wanted a a more simple Christmas. And certainly if you are setting out in a new home, if you're just getting your feet out into the world, if you're a younger person, maybe it's your first Christmas moved away from your parents or your carers' homes, and you're just setting up and you do not have the money to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, then just having a very simple Christmas is often quite refreshing. I've had my decorations up for about a week now, and I love them. I love them all sitting and twinkling and looking pretty and everything looking lovely and festive, but already I have the urge to scrub clean everything because there's just so much going on around me. So simple Christmases, there's nothing wrong with a simple Christmas, and quite often you can get things off of people if you say, oh, I really need a new tree. A lot of the time people are like, oh, well, I've got one in the loft that I haven't used for 4 years because I'm using this one now, or I'm getting a real tree this year. Maybe you can borrow this tree and, you know, until next year or something like that. There are ways and means that you can have a more simple Christmas. It often feels a lot more elegant and a lot more classy as well. So the last thing that I have got on the decor list is dressing up neutral items. I've got a little bit of a prop here, one sec. So at Christmas time, the temptation to go around all of these shops and buy very Christmas specific things, particularly things like bakeware and serveware and things like that, trays, is really intense, and usually they're quite cheap. You end up buying quite a few, like I've got quite a few ceramic Santa bowls and things like that, when actually realistically you could buy something completely neutral like this cake stand I have here, and you can dress this up seasonally, which serves two purposes. A, you have something that you can change and can look correct any season. So at Christmas I could put a small little wreath on this and a couple of lovely pillar candles and it would be a Christmas stand. And then in spring maybe I could put a couple of bunny ornaments and some eggs and some flowers around it, and suddenly that is an Easter stand. You know, dress up things that can be out all year, because then you also don't have to store these. Like if this was a Christmas specific one, it would be out for 3 or 4 weeks of the year, and then I would have to store it for the whole rest of the year, which my storage solutions are not great. I've got to figure this out in the new year. But yeah, just having things like this, like glass bowls, glass candle holders, wooden pillar candle holders, things like that, you can dress up seasonally and save yourself a fortune not having to buy Christmas specific ones. So that's going to be it for decor. Moving on to food and drink. So the simplest way to save money on food and drink is to simplify your menu down. Christmas, we are drawn in. We are drawn in by the shops. We will go into, let's say Tesco. Tesco is the one that I shop at most, or Asda, or wherever it is that you go. And you've gone in for, let's say, pigs in blankets. You've forgotten pigs in blankets. You go in, you're in the little pig in blanket area, and there's all these other little snacky party foods, and you think, ooh, that sounds nice. You pick up this. Oh, it's 3 for a tenner. Well, I better get this and that as well. And before you know it, you've spent 100 quid on party food and you're not even having a party. That's happened to me a lot. So simplify the menu. Let's just keep it simple. Keep your Christmas dinner just a roast dinner. Have a nice pudding and a couple of little treats. You do not need to go overboard with the Christmas food. It's really, really easy to, and it's so encouraged by the shops. But make yourself a list. Your absolute, you must have this. I tend to do, we have obviously Christmas dinner, but we'll have one chocolatey thing, one crispy thing, one cakey thing, one biscuity thing. And that tends to cover all bases for what you could be craving. If you're craving something sweet, you've got the chocolate. If you're craving something savoury, you've got the crisps. If you're wanting something kind of soft, you've got the cake. So you're covering all the bases, but very, very minimally. So just reduce that down, simplify it way down, and you're going to save yourself a fortune on food and drink. Also, spending time and not money on food is a good one at Christmas. Now, before I go into this one, a little bit of a disclaimer. It is not always cheaper to make things than it is to buy things. But if you have, let's say you've made some shortbread. So you have maybe some flour left over, you have a bunch of butter left over, you have a bunch of sugar left over. That means, like, realistically, you could make a few other things with what you have left over and save yourself a bit of money on buying them ready-made. But be careful, because sometimes, as I found out this week, it is not cheaper to make things. This week I wanted to make some cannelloni. I wanted to make a 4 cheese and spinach cannelloni, and that's quite expensive to buy. You tend to buy it as a ready meal. It's about £2.50, £3 per head, per kind of serving. So that worked out quite expensive, and I thought, cannelloni, how expensive can it be? 30 quid. It cost me 30 quid to make this cannelloni. It's not always cheaper, but do your research, figure out the bits that you can make at home cheaper, and spend the time making them rather than buying them, and save yourself a little bit of money there. A lot of it, and I mean a lot of it, you can make now at the beginning of December, whack it in the freezer, and then just get it out 24 hours before you're ready to use it, and it's all ready to go. You've saved yourself a fortune, and you've saved yourself some stress, because you've got some things ready to go in the freezer that you would otherwise be worried about. So spend a bit of time rather than money on some things, and you'll save a bit of money. So the next thing on my food and drink list is a bring a platter, bring a bottle. We need to bring this back. We need to. Why did we stop doing this? Did we suddenly, as a global community, decide that bringing a platter or bringing a bottle was totally out of fashion? We just stopped doing this, and it's madness to expect, let's say you're having a dinner party for 12 people. It's absolute madness to expect one person to foot the bill for 12 people, 3-5 courses plus drinks. That's ridiculous. Come on, money is tight. Bring a platter, bring a bottle. Everyone can guarantee that they're going to have something there that they will like, because they've made it, they've bought it, and it's going to save the host a bunch of money in feeding everybody if everyone just brings a bit, and it makes you feel so much more cozy and a community, and it's so much nicer. We need to bring a platter and bring a bottle, because the fact that that's gone out of fashion is just, it's shameful. Okay, so buying cheaper cuts of meat. You need to be careful with this, because if you're buying a cheaper cut of meat, usually it's more complicated to cook it. If you know what you are doing in the kitchen, you probably do this anyway, so it's really kind of a void point. But if you don't know what you're doing, please research. But a lot of the time, if you are buying cheaper cuts of meat and you are cooking them for longer, or you're cooking them in, let's say, sorry, I've got an itchy foot. If you're cooking them in like a pressure cooker or a slow cooker, you can actually get a really, really nice meal and save yourself a bit of money on the cheaper cuts. Also, things like the Christmas turkey, which I know a lot of us will be going for on Christmas Day, myself included. Everybody wants to buy this big old turkey, this big full turkey, because you want that ta-da moment when you put it out on the table, this big bronze beautiful turkey. And yeah, it's going to look amazing, but you're going to be eating that thing for weeks. It's going to go in the fridge, bits of it are going to go in the freezer. You're going to have this massive carcass in your kitchen that you're going to have to deal with on Christmas night when you really don't want to. Just buy yourself a couple of, if you're a small family, a couple of turkey breasts will do. A turkey crown will do. You do not need to buy this big, huge, massive bird for Christmas dinner unless you are catering for like 20 people. You do not need this huge bird. Or of course, if you enjoy taking all the pieces off and making them into different meals, by all means do it. But if you're trying to save money and you're trying to save time, don't go for the wow moment. Go for real life. We can't afford a massive turkey. So buy yourself smaller, cheaper cuts of meat and you'll be saving yourself a fortune. And the last thing I've got on my food and drink, okay, again controversial, because I know there's a lot of meat eaters out there that aren't going to want to hear this, but vegetarian mains, and particularly vegetarian sides, are often significantly cheaper to make than a meat main, and often make a refreshing change. We all eat chicken year round, we all eat beef year round, we all eat pork year round, and we tend to have lamb, certainly the people around me tend to have lamb at Easter and kind of special occasions and things. You're fed up with it by the time you get to Christmas. So maybe make something different. Maybe have a nut roast or some sides that maybe instead of pigs in blanket you'll have cauliflower cheese or something like that. There's so many gorgeous vegetarian sides that can save you some money rather than buying side meat or main meat for your dinners, and will make a refreshing change. So the next category is entertainment. I'm sorry this video is getting a bit long. I can see my little counter on here. I'm going to try and whiz through the rest of this as quickly as I can so you're not sitting here until New Year's. Entertainment is something we spend a huge amount of money on. And it's something that you can really make cheaper quite simply if you are willing to do so. I know a lot of people want to go out. They do. They want to go out. They want to have a dinner. And there's no way really that you can make that cheaper other than looking for early bird meal deals and things like that at restaurants. But if you are willing to maybe not go out for dinner every time, then you can make some huge savings. So on here I've got home-based activities. So you can still have people round, and you can do home-based activities which are entertaining and fun and interesting that quite probably will turn into traditions as the years go by. So for us, we do things like we have a gingerbread house competition, and often we will invite people round to judge our gingerbread house competition so that we can pick a winner. They can also get involved in that. They can make their own little gingerbread houses, gingerbread men. It's just a fun way to spend an evening together. You can get a couple of bottles of wine in, some music on, some little snackies, and have a wonderful evening at a fraction of the price that you're going to pay for a meal at a restaurant. You can also do things like wreath making parties. They're kind of fun. Get some wreath supplies, wreath making supplies, whether that's artificial or real greens. You can order greens through your florist. You can get them on market stalls, places where they are selling Christmas trees. Often they will sell their offcuts, as you saw in yesterday's video with my noble fir boughs. And you can put all these things out on a table and just get a few friends together. Again, a couple of cheeky glasses of wine, some tea, some coffee, whatever floats your boat. Have a lovely evening, and then everyone gets to take home a wreath with them. How nice is that? How much better is that than trying to decide at a restaurant how you're going to split the bill? So much better, right? Okay, so home-based activities are a big go for saving money with entertainment. So there's also things like free events. So there are quite a few free Christmas events that go around here. Obviously we've already had the Christmas light switch on. Most towns and cities will have a Christmas light switch on that you can go to, and most of the time they are free. You can listen to music, you can mooch around the little market stalls, and of course you can see the Christmas lights going on. But there's all kinds of other things going on as well, like in a couple of towns over, they are having Christmas carols around their big Christmas tree in the town centre right up close till Christmas. Again, it's completely free. I think they do, there's a store where you can buy like mulled wine and hot mince pies, things like that. So it's not free, but it's very, very cheap for that one. And you don't have to buy the mulled wine and the mince pies. You can take some with you. So yeah, free events, things like that. Keep an eye out for things like those. And you can take kids and family or meet family there and just have a lovely time with the free events. Also, you could, particularly with little children, you could walk around the neighbourhood on a Christmas light walk or a Christmas light drive. Have a look at what everyone in the neighbourhood is doing with their Christmas lights. Quite often there are 1 or 2 houses in the neighbourhood that do lights for charity. I'd love to do that someday. And they light up. It's like the Coca-Cola truck. Everything is just lit, and you've got nativities and animatronics and all this lovely thing. And they've got like donation boxes, and you can just put some money in the donation box. It's just a really lovely thing to do with children around Christmas, is just take them out and show them the lights. It gets them out of the house into the air, tires them out, and doesn't cost a penny. That's a really good one if you've got young children. Another thing I've got is a movie night. Again, if you've got, sorry, my camera just clapped out for no apparent reason there. So if you've got friends and family round and you are having an evening, maybe you've done some food or a little buffet or something like that, you can have a lovely cozy movie night, invite them to bring their slippers and their PJs, and you can just sit under blankets and watch lovely Christmas movies. Now I know this isn't going to go down perfectly with some people would not enjoy that kind of thing, but if you do have friends and family around you who would just enjoy like kind of a movie night with some nibblies, maybe a bit of a pamper sesh, that's a wonderful way of meeting up with people before Christmas and just spending some time together in lieu of a gift and just having a lovely Christmas. And it's those wonderful memories as well. Take pictures, put them in your photo album, you've got them forever. Okay, so the last idea on here was doing lunch rather than dinner. So if you have, obviously there are certain types of people who just want to go and have dinner, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all, especially if it's a tradition for your family to meet up and have dinner together. But quite often lunches are cheaper than dinners. And the restaurants don't get as booked out for a lunch, so it's often quieter in there. You get slightly more attention from whoever is your server that day, which is really nice as well. And you can get the cheaper meal, you can still have a nice time with it, and then you can go home and put your feet up at the end of it. So keep an eye out for lunches rather than dinners. You can do cream teas, you can do just a Costa with a toasty if you want to. It's a cheaper way of doing it significantly than actually going out for dinner. So that's it for entertainment. The last on my list is travel. Now travel is a difficult one. I won't pretend that travel is not a difficult one. Travel is always going to be expensive. My top tip for travel is just be prepared. Just in January, start yourself a pot, put money into it each month when you get paid or each week, depending on your pay structure, and gradually save for travel over the year, because it's always going to be expensive. But I do have a couple of little tips that can just take the edge off of it a little bit. If you're traveling via public transport, so train, bus, plane, make sure you're getting them tickets booked early, like as early as you possibly can. As soon as they're opening, get them tickets booked. Quite often you will save a lot of money, particularly with the train. I'm not too sure with planes how far ahead you can, depending on different airlines and things, but as early as you possibly can, get them tickets booked, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to save a fair whack of money getting the tickets booked early. Also, I would pack snacks and drinks for the way if you're going via car. Quite often, you know, you'll get hungry or thirsty on the way, you'll pop into the services. The services, you're going to pay significantly more for food than if you had just packed something and a flask of coffee or something like that. Yes, I know we all want to do the bougie, we all want to go through Starbucks, we all want to go through Costa, we want to get the gorgeous lattes and stuff like that, because that's just what we're used to. But if you're trying to save money over Christmas, pack yourself a flask or a travel mug of nice hot coffee or tea or hot chocolate, whatever it is you're drinking, and take it with you, because you're going to save some money doing that. Also, if you're traveling by car, I would recommend removing all excess weight from the car before you set off. I know it's not going to make a huge difference. I mean, it's going to be pounds if anything, or dollars if anything, rather than loads of money, but it will be a saving. Just make sure you've got your essentials, of course. Make sure you've got your breakdown kit, your spare tyre, everyone's in the car, you've got everything that you need, but make sure you're taking out any excess weight. So any things that are just living in the car because it's easier for them to live in the car than to take them out, put them in the shed or whatever, just get ahead of yourself, get them out of the car. Don't be dragging around that excess weight. Don't be having your roof box on if you don't need for it to be on, because it's gonna cost you more in fuel to do that. So take all that extra weight out. And another thing you can do, again, it's going to be a controversial thing, and this is the last point I'm going to hit on today. Arrange to meet people in the new year. Now, I know that we all want to get together for Christmas. I get that. But Christmas and the summer holidays from school are quite possibly the most expensive times of year to travel. If you can arrange to meet people in the new year, not only are you going to save money on travel, but you also have something to look forward to in the new year. Because once Christmas is done and once the New Year's parties are done, it's that horrible long slog between January and April when the world starts to come back alive again and Easter comes along and things like that, where you've just, there's nothing to look forward to. It's bleak, it's cold, it's miserable. You've got nothing to look forward to. And if you can arrange to meet people, then you'll have something to look forward to, you'll have something to do, someone to go and see. They also will have something to look forward to, and you will save a fortune in travel costs over the festive period. Not only that, but the roads will be quieter in January, February. Guarantee that. The roads will be quieter. So yeah, those are a few tips that I try and use when I am trying to plan and do Christmas. Not all of them work for everybody. Pick and choose which ones you like. If you do have any other ideas for ways to save Christmas, please pop it down below, and I might do a little bit of a follow-up video to this with some more tips and tricks if you can think of any. But yeah, I'm going to sign off for today because I have been waffling for a very long time. I apologise for the long video. I appreciate it if you have made it to the end. Well done you. If you haven't already, if you could give the video a like and subscribe if you're not already, you will not miss any more further Vlogmas videos, and I will see you again tomorrow in my wreath making video. See you later. Bye bye.